Hi, my name's Antoinette Christie. I'm a mother of 3 boys. I'm going to tell you a wee story. Something that happened to our family that has changed our life. In 2004, David took a really rare skin condition called pleva. Numerous tests had been carried out and he had a B biopsy. He never really picked up from then. He done his 11 plus, he got to grammar school, and in March '05 he gradually started to deteriorate. Again, he was admitted into the hospital, test after test, and everything was coming back clear. David was a previous really keen rock climber and Boy Scout. David was always on the go, out doing things, and he started to deteriorate and started to stay in bed longer. He tried to get to school, and I kept getting phone calls to go and pick him up. Well, me as a parent and a mum knew that there was something not right with David because it just wasn't him, and it was very, very distressing for the whole family. He was brought in again. In May '05 he started to experience really, really severe chest pain, which I can only describe as having a heart attack on a nightly basis. That's how bad the pain was, and he was constantly up every night, as till today. He's still up every night of the week. He can't sleep. When he went to Musgrave Park Hospital, which he obviously had to wait a few months on, the rheumatologist there done a few blood tests and basically told David that there was nothing wrong with him and he needed to get himself up and back to school ASAP. David still to this day has been housebound for 2 years, and I just wish that consultant could see him now.
Well, before they diagnosed me, they had to do tests for a whole range of things. Irregular thyroid activity was one of the ones that they tested for. Depression, was put on antidepressants. They lifted the mood but didn't help the physical symptoms. So it came off antidepressants, and then it was officially diagnosed, and then he sent me to a general medical clinic in the Belfast City Hospital, which did absolutely nothing for me. Nothing was given to me to say, you know, let's help. It was just a case of, you'll grow out of it.
When David was diagnosed with ME, I actually went to my GP and asked him, did he believe in ME? That was my first question I asked him. And his response to me was yes, that he had a few friends with it. And he's sort of curious, like, why are you asking? I went, well, if you don't believe in ME, I'm lifting my cards, and there was no point in me being there, because if I wasn't going to have the support for myself and for David, there was no point in being there.
What did you mean by that? Did people think ME sort of a myth, or?
Oh, people don't, but ME is like what you would call years ago the uppy flu, or a psychological problem. So it was very, very important to me that I had the right support for David.
Just from people that I met and were talking to and said that, oh, I have ME, and they're like, oh, what's that? It's not real. Hurtful. It's very hurtful, because whenever you're struggling so hard and trying to make a path for yourself in life, for somebody to say that what you're feeling is not real, it's not very nice. I had it a lot of times. I lost a lot of friends because of it. Friends that had their own illnesses, diabetes, they didn't believe that ME was real, that I had what I had.
It affects you mentally, it affects you physically. You feel fatigued, you feel sick, you have irritable bowel syndrome, you have pains in your muscles.
Confusion, dizziness, blurry eyes, blurry vision, headaches, sore muscles, sore joints, difficulty walking.
All these symptoms seem very bizarre, and they don't affect everybody, and everybody hasn't the same symptoms, but there is a well-established criteria of symptoms for ME.
For anybody that's telling people out there that it's in their head, there's something wrong with their heads. They're not professional. I had been put to me a few months back that I had to take all medication away from his room. Not that David was ever on his own with medication. His mood, which is obviously a secondary condition of ME, it's not the cause of ME, can cause severe depression. At this stage, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, his consultant was really, really worried about him and thought he was suicidal, which was very, very frightening. I don't think even the rest of the family know that. I was absolutely terrified of being out of the room without him. I had to be there constantly, made sure there was no tablets lying about, made sure there was nothing there, tried to talk to him, which we weren't getting any response from. Obviously at the age of 12, 13, when you're out, you should be out living your life to the full, and being left so isolated with no school friends, no contact with the outside world, you would feel like that yourself. If David makes it downstairs, that is the best he can do. People who don't have ME don't know this. I could maybe, and I would say over the past, it's been a long time since he's been in a shop, you could maybe get him out to a shop to get a wee DVD or something, or a wee video, but people don't see. They might look at him and go, God, he looks okay. They don't see him when he comes back, where he had maybe bedridden again for a week after going into the shop for maybe 10 minutes. It's just constantly been with David 7 nights a week for the past 2 years, and trying to comfort him and trying to get him asleep, because obviously the medication that he's on, he can only get it at certain times, and there's times when the medication's not even helping. It helps to a certain extent and takes the pain to a certain level, but the pain's still there.
And what time does Dave usually get to sleep at?
By 5 o'clock, if he's lucky. It is frightening, yeah, for both. It's frightening, and you feel so, me as a mum feels so hopeless and helpless that you're watching your child in pain and there's nothing you can do, you can't take it away. He was in really bad pain today with his chest, so I gave him medication, but I thought he was going to actually get up, but he never got back to sleep again to 4:45, so then he got up again, and it still, excuse me, was his chest.
Okay. So the medication doesn't seem to be working?
No. I've just been up with David there, given a wee bit of jam, butter and bread and jam. Made sure he had his medication, so I'm going to go to try and get a couple of hours sleep because I'm absolutely exhausted today.
What sort of mood is David in, right?
His chest is still very sore. He's just sitting up there in a wee dark room with his laptop on.
What's he watching?
I think it's Superman or something. Something to try and take his mind off the pain, because he can't get any more pain relief till about 3 or 4 in the morning. So
Does he do that at night?
sometimes he becomes a wee bit more alert during the night, but that only distracts him. Sometimes he's not even focused on what he's watching. He's just looking at it.
Just for the company?
Hmm?
Just for the company?
Just for company. For 2 years now, he was in my bed constantly every night, and I would say over the last month he started to maybe be up in his own room a wee bit more, which has been great. He's trying to manage the pain a wee bit better himself. But you still feel for him. Yeah. If I go to bed now, thinking that he's laid up there like that, and there's nothing really I can do for him now. He's on his own for a couple of hours. He was hungry during the night, so I gave him a wee piece of jam. Obviously, because his days and nights are mixed up, he gets a wee bit hungry during the night. But he was in quite a lot of pain last night from about 10 o'clock. Nothing's really changed. Everything's basically the same. I could repeat this night after night after night, but this has gone on 2 years now, and it's been the same for the 2 years. So I'm very mentally fatigued this morning myself. So I sit here with a cup of coffee trying to start doing what I have to do. We did try to put David on air, but obviously at his age he's very, very embarrassed about the illness. This took all his self-image away. This took the person he was before he had ME. Well, if you can think back to 13, 14, would you like people to see you or your friends to see you crawling about your bed in pain and maybe tearful, and nothing can console him? It's heartbreaking enough for me to watch him. It would be really, really humiliating, maybe is the word, for anybody else to see him like that. So I have to keep that a wee bit private. And it's not that it doesn't happen, because it does. Believe it or not, the way I would describe David is before he took ME, and now that he has ME, he has, to me, metamorphically died. He's not the same person that he was. I've lost part of him. I remember at Christmas 2005 thinking maybe when we get Christmas over, David will get back to school. I said the same thing in 2006. I've now said the same thing in 2007. So now our new year begins again with pain, isolation, loneliness for the family, because there's no social life for me or his dad. There's nothing. These people are lost. David is actually in a good spot, believe it or not, if you can call that a good spot. He's 13, he's got really good supportive parents and brothers, and he's a really good support. I have really good support family. Can you picture somebody who's lying like that 24/7, older, and maybe don't have that support?
Did you receive any sort of support or DLA?
I didn't apply. I didn't apply for it until I was no longer able to work at all. And when I did apply, I was turned down. And a very good trade union friend of mine spoke for me at the tribunal and managed to convince them that this was a real illness, although there was no documentation at that time. 24 years ago.
I have been in touch with a girl, going back to last November, a lady I should have said, and I know I've got her permission to mention her name, Joan McParland from Bestbrook in Newry. She has no support at all. Her husband goes to work and she's on her own, and her 70, I think her mum's 78, her mum looks after her. It's an absolute disgrace that she doesn't get DLA, no disability living allowance, nothing. Her husband had to go out actually and buy a wheelchair for her out of his own wages, which obviously has been a big thing for them, because that's all that's coming into the house. She's now having to sit, I think for the third time, at tribunal, fighting the government to get DLA.
25% of ME victims are severely affected and are confined to bed, and have to be toileted, have to be looked after by a carer, probably 24 hours a day, and this role usually falls to their relatives. And the plight of young people is worse, because they have to prepare themselves for life, and they're not able to study. Their memory function is not good, and they're in pain. And we've even a battle to get them statemented where they can get home tuition.
So having GCSEs at home and had home tuition for 6 months up to it. School didn't really help very much. At that time they basically told me that I should go to tech and do an MVQ or something, because they really didn't want to be bothered having to go through all the procedures to help somebody that has ME. The only thing good that came out of school was the fact that they had a school nurse, and she has been brilliant. We're still really good friends. She looked after me. I was able to go and lie down when I needed to, could eat my lunch in there instead of having to go and sit in the canteen. That was the only way I could have got through school, was by doing that. Other than there was no help for me, and there was 4 or 5 other people at my school with ME, and they all received the same treatment.
We formed the Northern Ireland campaign for ME stroke CFS Healthcare, which is an organisation devoted to fighting for the rights of patients, to helping them in tribunals, to helping them with up-to-date medical advice, for fighting for children to get the right to education and to be statemented. And we have a fairly substantial membership in Northern Ireland, and we take the view that the government does not really meet the needs of these of people who are ME victims.
I'm sure if anybody in the government child was lying the way my child was lying, they would get up and do something. We don't have the finance, we don't have the money to do it.
There's just nothing there for it, and people aren't aware of it enough. They don't seem to realise that it actually exists and there are actually people out there suffering. There's not enough done, and I personally think there needs to be a lot more funding going to it. I was a bit hesitant to disclose the fact that I had ME at the first, just because I didn't know what they could do for me, but they told me that it would be best to say that I had it, and then they really worked hard to put everything in place they could for me, so they've been really good.
No support, no carers, and no money to fund people to go in to help people like this out. We don't have support here for kids with ME. There's no support. Plus, we haven't come across another child in Belfast with ME, and I keep crying out, is there kids out there with this? And why are people not coming forward? I'm coming forward because, as I say, my other son Connor was so badly treated by the medical professional. I'm coming forward because he's given me a voice, and I'm not going to let it happen a second time. I've been in papers from last June. I was in the Sunday World a few weeks ago. I was on the Stephen Nolan show, and I'm pleading with people to come forward. And all I can say is people are afraid. People are afraid to come forward because of the stigmatization of the illness, because they are made to think it's psychological. And anybody that has ME can stand up and truly tell you that it's not psychological, it is a physical illness. I'm telling you now, do not be afraid to come up forward and voice your opinion. Get your voice out there, get your voice opened and be heard. Do not be afraid. I'm doing this on behalf of my 13-year-old son, who is now lying in bed, unable to get up. And I get so angry and so frustrated. It's unbelievable. I can only do so much. I need other people to come forward and help with this, and do not be afraid. But don't let medical professional people tell you that it's psychological and it's all in your head. Do not let people do that to you. People who are living with it know what it's like. And I get so angry and so frustrated that people are not there 24/7. They don't know what people with ME are suffering. They don't know. There's no point going to the hospitals. They can't even go in there because their immune system's so low. I think I've maybe said too much, and I think my frustration has come out, and I've got really angry, but to be honest, I am really angry. I am angry that my life has been on hold the past 2.5 years. I'm angry that my 13-year-old son, who was so articulated, out trampolining, rock climbing, Boy Scouts, jiu-jitsu champion, is now housebound 24/7. Why? This illness goes back to, I think this illness goes back to the 1930s, and it's now 2007, and there's still no diagnostic test for it. Why? And who's going to answer these questions? I can't answer them. Can you? At the minute, I don't see a future. I just see days of pain and agony and struggle. I would love to see a diagnostic test for ME. I would love to see a cure for ME. I have so much sympathy out there for the people with ME. It's because you're living with it. Unless you're living with it, you don't know what it's like.